The red and blue lights came alive behind the marked sheriff's SUV like a sudden accusation. They splashed across the rear window, cutting through the golden haze of late afternoon. Inside the vehicle, Deputy Marcus Reed felt his stomach drop, not from guilt but from recognition. He had seen this moment before, lived versions of it in quieter ways. What he didn't know was that, before the sun set, a body cam would capture words so raw and undeniable they would erase 2 careers from existence. Marcus guided the SUV onto the shoulder, tires crunching gravel. The engine hummed, then fell silent. He stayed still, hands resting on the steering wheel at 10 and 2. Badge visible on his chest, department seal stamped clearly on both doors. Training told him this was routine. Experience told him it was anything but. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. The patrol car door slammed shut behind him. Footsteps approached with confidence sharpened into aggression. Officer Bradley Knox stopped short of the driver's window, sunglasses hiding his eyes, hand hovering near his holster like it belonged there. "Hands where I can see them," Knox said, voice loud, carrying across the open road. Marcus didn't argue. He lowered the window slowly. Warm air rushed in, thick with dust and heat. "Deputy Marcus Reed," he said calmly, offering his ID. "County Sheriff's Office. I'm on duty." Knox barely glanced at the credentials. His gaze lingered instead on Marcus's face, his posture, his skin. "Step out of the vehicle," he ordered. A passing sedan slowed. Someone craned their neck. The world narrowed to the space between them. Marcus obeyed. Boots met gravel. He stood straight, palms open, uniform crisp. Inside, anger knocked, but discipline held the door shut. He remembered his mother's voice from childhood, "Don't give them a reason, even when they're wrong." He had joined the force to protect people from moments like this. No, he was standing inside one. "You know how many stolen units we recover a month?" Knox said, circling him. "People think slapping a badge on a door makes them untouchable." The words landed heavy, stung. Marcus swallowed. He could correct him, he could escalate. Or he could trust the quiet power blinking red on Knox's chest. "Sir," Marcus said evenly, "my dashcam is on. Your body cam is on. Let's verify through dispatch." Knox laughed, sharp and dismissive. "Don't tell me how to do my job." Another patrol car pulled up. Officer Elena Hayes stepped out, her eyes flicking from the sheriff's SUV to Marcus's confusion knitting her brow. She recognized him. Roll calls had a way of doing that. "Brad," she said carefully, "that's a marked county unit." Knox waved her off. "Relax, I've got this." The air shifted. Wind moved through the dry grass along the shoulder. Dust hung in sunlight like suspended breath. A man across the road lifted his phone, recording. Marcus felt the familiar weight of moral tension. Hayes stood frozen between loyalty and conscience. He could see it in her eyes, the calculation, the fear of being labeled disloyal, the fear of being right. Knox leaned closer. "You people always think you're above the law." There it was, unfiltered, ugly, captured cleanly by the body cam's open ear. Marcus closed his eyes for half a second. He thought of the academy oath, of long nights proving himself twice over. He thought he'd grown numb to this. He was wrong. "Brad," Hayes said, louder now, "that's enough." Knox ignored her. His hand brushed Marcus's arm, tightening. "Turn around." Marcus didn't resist. He didn't need to. His voice came out low but steady. "You're making a mistake." Dispatch crackled over the radio. Names requested. Units identified. Supervisors alerted. Knox's confidence faltered just enough to notice. Hayes stepped back, breath shallow. Cars slowed. Whispers traveled. A woman covered her mouth. Silence stretched thin and fragile. When the supervisors arrived, the scene snapped into order like a pulled thread. Statements were taken, cameras secured. Knox was separated, his jaw clenched, hands trembling now that the performance had no audience. Hayes stood apart, tears pooling as reality caught up to hesitation. The footage moved fast after that, faster than Marcus expected. Audio isolated. Context undeniable. The words replayed in conference rooms, on legal pads, on screens where excuses had nowhere to hide. The department's statement came the next morning. By afternoon, both officers were suspended pending investigation. By the end of the week, careers were over. Knox for the bias that spilled freely from him, Hayes for failing to intervene when the moment demanded courage. Marcus watched the press conference from his kitchen table, coffee gone cold. There was no triumph in his chest, only exhaustion and relief. The truth hadn't been buried this time. At the community meeting that followed, the room buzzed with murmurs. People stood shoulder to shoulder, some angry, some hopeful, all watching. When Marcus stepped forward to speak, the noise fell away. "I didn't want this," he said softly. "I wanted a normal day, but I want something more than comfort. I want accountability." Applause rose, not thunderous, but steady earned. Training was mandated, policies rewritten, conversations started that had been avoided for years. None of it felt like enough. All of it felt necessary. Days later, a rookie deputy caught Marcus in the hallway. "Thank you," she said, voice shaking, "for staying calm, for letting the camera speak." Marcus nodded. "Next time," he replied gently, "we speak sooner. Because justice doesn't need anger to win. It needs light." And on a stretch of road where assumptions once flashed like sirens, a small red light proved that truth, once recorded, does not forget. If this story moved you, share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to Cinematic Whispers for more stories where silence breaks and truth stands tall. Land, remember, accountability begins the moment we choose to see.